Hey STEMsters, Mr. Santella here with another social emotional lesson for you. Today's lesson is, what is dignity? Now, let's review what we learned last week because it definitely ties into what we're going to learn this week. Last week we reviewed the 10 elements of dignity, and I asked you to post a video on Flipgrid talking about what word or words stood out the most to you, what word or words were you not getting from your friends, and what word or words can you show to other people? All right. Now, I want to say your videos were amazing. I'll say that again, amazing. I got over 200 replies, which it blew my mind. So thank you so much. Now, the goal is to do more than 200. All right. This week, I'm going to also have you do a Flipgrid video answering some questions around dignity. I won't always have you do a Flipgrid video. I'm going to find other ways to have you interact, and there might actually be a couple weeks where all I really need you to do is just really reflect on the lesson and what you learned. All right, let's get started. All right, dignity, what it is and why you need to know about it. Dignity is the inherent worth and value of every human. I'm going to say that again. Dignity is the inherent worth and value of every human. Inherent means you're just born with it. It wasn't given to you. You have it the second you are born. Okay? Everyone has it, and everyone has the same amount. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter your beliefs. Everybody has the same amount of dignity. Shocker. Dignity and respect are different. What? What do you mean, Mr. Santella? I must know more. You got it. Respect is the admiration for someone's actions, traits, or accomplishments. So, to give you an example, when you respect somebody, you admire or you really like some of their actions, their traits, or their accomplishments. So I respect people that go and get their doctorate degree. That's a lot of school and a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. I respect people that do that. Okay? If someone helps someone across the street or sees someone spill all their things in the hallway and helps pick them up, I respect those actions. Okay? And their traits, if someone is really good at cleaning up after they've made a mess, or in the lunchroom they're good about sorting their recycling, or they have integrity, those are traits that I respect. Now, that being said, the person who went and got their doctorate degree, we might not agree about some things, and that's okay. But I respect their accomplishment, okay? So remember that. Respect is the admiration for someone's actions, traits, or accomplishments. All right. So respect is earned or lost through actions, choices, and behaviors. Respect has to be earned. It's not like dignity. You don't wait, you're not just born and people respect you or you just respect somebody. That's not how it works. Respect has to be earned. And earning respect means doing something that goes above and beyond the baseline right to be treated well. Right? So we all deserve to be treated well. But when you really respect somebody is when they go above and beyond that. They don't just treat you well, they treat you exceptionally well, right? They treat you better than just a normal person would treat you, right? That's an action or a behavior that you're like, I respect that. And I know that as a teacher, I was always seen as strict but fair. And the students respected that. Okay. So my actions and my behaviors showed that I cared about my students, that I would go above and beyond. I would do anything for my students. My students respected that. I earned that. I just didn't walk in and was like, you must respect me because I'm your teacher. It's not how it works, right? You have to earn it. All right. So now I want to talk about denial of dignity. Okay. So if you deny someone their dignity, that's when conflicts happen. And I don't mean fighting, although that is something that might happen. Any kind of conflict usually is rooted in you not honoring somebody's dignity. Okay. So our instincts don't know the difference between a physical threat and a psychological threat. So a physical threat is somebody's going to come and beat me up. And a psychological threat is somebody's just going to say really mean things about me. Okay. But our brain doesn't really know the difference, right? So violations of our dignity feel like a threat to our survival. And one of the 10 elements of dignity was safety. So when we don't feel safe, it's because there's either a physical or a psychological threat that is coming at us. So when we feel hurt, our brains leap into self-preservation mode, right? That's the lizard brain. Okay, so the lizard part of your brain is I just need to survive. I just need to be safe. I don't care about anything else. I just need to be safe. So when we're not honoring somebody's dignity, we're putting their brain in a place where all they care about is survival. And sometimes that survival is fighting back or saying mean things back. Okay. And we're trying to avoid that. So if we are always treating somebody with dignity, then we're helping their brain feel comfortable and safe. And that's what we all want to do. We all want to feel safe, comfortable, and loved. Okay. So make sure that you're treating people with dignity. You're honoring that we might have differences of opinions, but I still honor your dignity as a human. You are a human being just like me. We both have the same amount of dignity. So in that moment where we feel that psychological or that physical harm coming, we don't care about others and we don't care about our relationships. We don't care about our friendships. We only care about being safe. That's how our brains are wired. Okay. We have to feel safe in order to have connections, in order to care about other people. When we don't feel safe, we kind of get into our shell and we're ready to like protect ourselves. However we do that, okay? That's what a lack of honoring somebody, a lack of treating someone without dignity puts them in that survival state. And that's not fair. Nobody likes to do that. All right. Dignity also equals being vulnerable, okay? So vulnerability is something that is really, really hard because to be vulnerable means you're putting yourself out there and you might be wrong. And you're kind of showing people, I don't think I'm very good at this, or I might be wrong about this, or I'm really scared to do this. Those are examples of being vulnerable. Now, a lot of people don't like to show that vulnerability, but without that vulnerability, people can't help you through that time. And when they're helping you feel safe and you're making a connection with that person. And those are two huge pieces of just being human: safety and connection. We often fail to recognize how vulnerable all people are to being treated as if they don't matter. We are psychologically programmed to believe that our survival depends on acceptance. So our brains are wired that, well, I have to be accepted in order for me to feel safe and loved, therefore to survive. Okay? So that's why a lot of the time people will just do what other people want, or they'll just go along with whatever's happening, even though they don't truly believe in it, because they just want to feel accepted. They want to have that connection, right? So they're not really feeling vulnerable. If they were vulnerable, they might say, you know what, I don't agree with this, or, I just don't want to do this. That's being vulnerable. And sometimes that can look like you're being weak. And that's okay, though. But that's hard. It's hard sometimes to look like you're weak, or you don't know what's going on, or you don't have the answers. But that's amazing. That's being vulnerable. That's how people can come in and help you. If you always think that you have all of the answers, well, then there's no reason for people to help you. There's no room. You know everything. So I guess I don't need to help you. Being vulnerable is a way that people make connections and feel safe, which is weird because when you open yourself up to vulnerability, sometimes you don't feel safe. But then that's when you really see who your true friends and family and those that care for you are, because when you're vulnerable, they're there to help you. They're there to catch you if you fall. Okay. So the last thing it says on here, we cannot help but react to being mistreated. So when we're mistreated, like I said, when we see that physical or psychological harm coming, we react to it. And our natural reaction is to get into our shell and try to hide from it, or to lash out at whatever it is as well. Okay. That's just who we are as humans, and our basic human instincts is survival. All right. Dignity also equals metacognition. So metacognition, it's your thinking about your thinking. Okay. This is a great skill to have. If you can stop and just like think about what you're thinking and use some self-talk, kind of talk your way through your thinking, it is so powerful in helping you kind of clear your mind and focus on what you need to do and focus on what is going on. Okay. So now we all matter the same amount. We talked about that. Dignity is we all have it the same amount, and we are all, it is all inherited from the second we take our first breath. Okay. And even in conflict or hard moments, other people matter as much as we do. So if I'm having a discussion with somebody and we have totally different views, okay, that's okay. They're still a human, I'm still a human, and we still have the exact same amount of dignity. It doesn't matter if we agree, disagree, if we argue, if we laugh, if we cry, whatever. We have the exact same amount of dignity, and we all matter the exact same, okay? Which means we have to stop and think about our feelings and actions and how they impact others. Okay, so that's that metacognitive part. When you stop and think about how your feelings and your actions impact other people, then you're going to make better choices because you don't want to put that other person in their turtle shell. You don't want them to perceive a threat coming, right? Treat them with dignity. Okay, even if you have a disagreement, understand that they're human just as you are and that your actions impact them. Okay, that is so important. Being able to think about how your feelings and actions impact other people will help you make better decisions, and it also will help you make connections with people. That's how you get empathy too. If you can put yourself in someone's shoes and feel what they're feeling, that's thinking. That's being metacognitive about your feelings and how they relate to that person's feelings so that you can make a connection to make them feel safe, to make them feel better. All right. Dignity also includes self-compassion. And I love this little circle or this little picture here with the heart in the speech bubble, right? So self-compassion, we know what compassion is. That's something that it's one of the 4 C's at STEM Lab, right? So to have self-compassion, right, is to give yourself, we call it giving yourself grace, where it's like, it's okay if I mess up. It's okay if I'm vulnerable. It's okay, right? We're all human. We all have dignity. We all have the same amount. It's okay. So there's this internal power that comes along with claiming your inherent worth and value. Even though people may try, your dignity is yours and it can't be taken away from you, no matter what. People will try, though. People will try to take away your dignity. They will try to make you feel like you are not as important as they are. Okay? And that's the truth. If everybody understood and lived through this lens of everybody has the same amount of dignity and that's how we need to treat people, then I wouldn't be having to do this training, right? I wouldn't have to be doing this lesson. But it's okay. We'll get there. Dignity makes you resilient and more connected to your worthiness. Okay. So resilient means that if something happens that's bad, you will get through it and you'll learn from it. You're resilient because not everything that happens in this world is a positive thing, right? And having resiliency helps us get through that and be better when we come out on the other side of it. Okay. I was a single dad for a little while. And in that moment, it was really, really hard. And I didn't know how I was going to get through it. But I did. And because I got through it, it made me a better person because I knew even in the hardest of times, I could still do it. And that has motivated me to do a lot of things since then. Okay. All right. Dignity equals awareness. So we're all born with dignity, but we aren't born knowing how to act in ways that honor everybody's dignity. Okay, so we all have dignity. It's just we get it when we're born, but we have to learn how to honor people's dignity. And that's okay, just like we have to learn how to do a lot of things. Okay, we all have a hardwired impulse not to be seen as the one in the wrong. So we're just wired to kind of always want to be right. Um, and that's just how we're wired. But you can't always be right. And if you're refused to say no, no, or if you refuse to say I'm wrong, then you're not going to grow. You're not going to learn how to honor someone's dignity. Okay. So we have an equally strong desire to want to save face when we have done wrong. So save face means I messed up. I don't. I wanted this person to still think that I'm a good person and I didn't mean it and I'm sorry and it won't happen again. Right? You want to save face. So you don't want to go around and people like, oh, that's Mr. Santella. Did you hear what he did? You know, it's saving face is I can still walk around with my head held high, right, and be proud of the dignity that I have. Okay, so again, we always have this tendency to want to be right, and when we've done wrong, we still want to be seen as a good person. And sometimes that's a conflict, and that's hard to manage sometimes, even as adults. Okay. All right. It takes work to shift our way of thinking about our actions. So that's that metacognitive piece where you have to think about your thinking. It takes work. You can't just wake up one day and be like, okay, I'm going to honor everybody's dignity today and then just go about your day. No, you have to really think about how your actions and your feelings impact other people. Now, your feelings and actions might impact one person one way and impact another person the other, a different way. That happens too, right? One might take your actions as something positive and one might take your actions as something negative. That is something that if you think about, okay, this person liked it, this person didn't, I'm going to go and actually talk to this person and have them educate me on what I did that they didn't like or that upset them so that I am better next time I interact with this person, and knowing that they may not have the same views as me or whatever, that's totally fine. But I still need to make sure that I'm honoring their dignity and they're honoring mine. Okay. All right. Dignity equals practice. All right. Like I just said, you can't just wake up and make this decision. I'm going to honor everybody's dignity today and then just go. You actually have to be mindful, that metacognitive, and you've got to practice, just like everything. There's no such thing as practice makes perfect. That I don't like that saying, but practice makes permanent. So if you keep practicing something, it will just become ingrained in your head. We call that automaticity. It's automatic. So practice makes permanent, not practice makes perfect. Okay. All right. So affirming your dignity can be uncomfortable. Okay. So sometimes by standing up for yourself when you feel like your dignity has not been honored, it can be uncomfortable because you might have to have a conversation with somebody that is a friend of yours or someone that isn't a friend of yours to tell them, to let them know, hey, you're not honoring my dignity. And, you know, it really made me feel fill in the blank, right? Standing up for dignity is hard. Okay. So when you see a friend of yours not being treated with dignity, sometimes it's hard to stand up for them. It's hard to stand up for ourselves sometimes too, because we feel that threat and we go into our shell. So it's really hard to stand up sometimes for dignity. Okay. But what, you know how we do it? We practice. Okay. Because practice makes permanent. All right. That's all I got for today, guys. Nope, I take that back. All right. Dignity equals perspective shift. So perspective is how you see things. So you have to shift how you see things in order to really understand dignity. So dignity is a given and respect is earned. We talked about that, right? You're born with one, the other one you have to earn. This is a shift in perspective and it can be uncomfortable, right? To change the way we think about something that we feel is so ingrained in us, it can be uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's when change really happens, when we're in that uncomfortable state. When we're vulnerable, that's when it happens. That's when the magic happens. We can respect a position, but not respect a person who abuses power in that position. So I remember I had a basketball coach once who the first thing he said, first day of practice was, well, you will respect me because I am your coach. I said, okay. And I just respected him because of that. He was really mean and he yelled a lot and he wasn't very nice. But because he told me to respect him, I just respected him. That was wrong. He didn't do anything to earn my respect. I was open minded to it, but he didn't earn it. Okay. And I didn't know that until just now, that that's how it works. Okay. All right. So, regardless if we don't respect somebody or their position or their actions, we always treat people with dignity, no matter what. No matter what. All right. So, I'm going to close with this. You matter. Your feelings matter. But guess what? Other people, they matter just as much. Okay. All right, scholars. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to answer these 4 questions with the Flipgrid video. The questions are, what is the difference between respect and dignity? What is at least one thing you learned about dignity? What is at least one thing you learned about respect? And what can you do to honor your dignity and the dignity of others? All right. I cannot wait to see your Flipgrid videos. I know this was a really long lesson. I'm sorry. But the cool thing is you can pause me, go take a break, and then come back. Anyways, all right, scholars, I miss seeing you all in person. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.